I'm Lachy Nicolson, and you're listening to Mind Over Money. Welcome back. Okay, welcome back to season 4. You're listening to Mind Over Money. Today we're talking about rising interest rates, talking about fuel prices, and how to adjust your cash flow. I'm here with Tim Evans and Archie Franz. G'day, guys. Good to be back on the podcast chatting.
Hi, Lachlan Nicolson. Here.
Yeah, g'day Lachy, g'day Tim.
Well, we jumped on this morning, we hit record. We've only just been talking for a couple of minutes about how crazy the world's been since we finished our last episode last year. We've got rising interest rates again as of yesterday. We've got fuel prices going up. There's a few things happening. Hey, Archie, is this new territory for you? Have you seen this before?
Yeah, this looks exactly like the 80s for me. And the government made some really good changes back in the 80s, early 90s through Paul Keating and Bob Hawke. But before they did make those changes, you know, we were in a world of pain. So, and the reason we were in a world of pain back then was we had house prices going up. We had, inflation was high, really high. We had massive interest rates up around 18% to 22%. Yeah, home loans were only over 20 years, so you had massive repayments on your home loans. And back then, everyone wanted to buy a house, so it was, there wasn't a rejection of housing back then. It was everyone wanted a house, and basically, unless you got in and bought a house, you were going to be left behind.
Sounds like today a bit. Sounds familiar.
Yeah,
people are panicking and anxious over home, especially first home buyers in the cities.
Yep.
But even in rural areas, I was in Toowoomba, I think yesterday, and just noticing the property price there in a regional city is, quite enormous compared to when I lived there. Yeah, so I can feel this common angst as I talk to young people, and older people as well, that this is a period of, like you said, a bit of pain. I guess the kind of the big question is, how long does this go for? Like, is this just a season, and how long is this season?
Oh, look, talking to my mum before she passed away last month, mum told me that back in the 50s when she first got married, they actually had to live in rooms because there was no housing. Like, there was a massive housing shortage, and there was lots of people coming in from overseas, so we had a massive immigration happening at that time as well. And so that was helping to create this housing shortage, which we're seeing today.
Yep.
And so she actually started raising a family, having children, living out of a room in someone else's house.
Wow.
And people were living on verandas, people were living in tents. It doesn't look any different to today because of the housing shortage, because of what was happening in Australia at that time.
Wow.
And you couldn't borrow money to buy a house, so you had to try and have cash. Because you only got a loan if the bank manager was your friend.
So similar problems again today. It's like history repeats, but we've got different solutions and options available today. I just actually looked out my window yesterday and I saw someone craning in a modular home, which looks like a granny flat they're putting in the backyard. So we've got this explosion of businesses now in Queensland that are building modular homes and looking for ways to build cheaper, quicker, smaller. What have you noticed, Tim, talking to clients recently?
It's still hitting clients. Some people if they have their finger on the pulse, just a lot of anxiety and stress, obviously, like everyone. But I think a lot of our clients are also level-headed. They have a strategy in place and a plan, and not too affected yet, if that's fair, because I think they kind of know what their plan is. They got in at a good time for a lot of clients, and they don't have too much debt, and they're able to scale back. They're not living on a knife's edge where okay, this is going to tip them over and everything's going to come crashing down. Is my honest answer to that when I talk to clients. But when I see the media and the outlook, I get a different feeling. So I think there's a different conversation on the ground and online. But I think obviously, these costs, I mean, we can talk about all the costs that are going to come down the pipeline. Like we see fuel in our cars, but how that just relates to every industry and everything we consume and our food and So I think those realities coming, which they still haven't hit us yet.
So you talk about living on a nice edge. Are these the clients that have, put the cash flow system in place over time, and now they've got these, they've got savings, they've got buffers, they've been paying down debt, so they've got buffers there as well?
Yeah, I'm talking about our clients, not everyday people, but clients that we've been working with for years. And yeah, exactly. They have a cash flow system. They've been making extra payments. They have a cushion. They operating a strategy that wasn't pushing them to their limits originally. That's probably why. So I'm not saying that's how every person feels.
Well, let's maybe talk about some of these costs that we could expect in the next couple of months to go up. And then let's talk about maybe how we can adjust our cash flow to manage this season that's ahead of us.
Yeah, we're probably in a season at the moment where we've got to reboot. Just like with our computer, like we've had all these programs and things that we've been doing. The computer's getting overloaded, and it's time to reboot it and slim things back to to what we can get going again. So it's about getting going again, getting ourselves in a good place where we feel in ourselves that we're in a good place.
Yeah, I guess that's likening it to, in the economy, you have a recession, which forces the reboot and the reevaluation. The death and the life of new businesses, moving people from different jobs, different cities. And unfortunately, there's a report that came out yesterday that they think Australia might avoid a recession again. We're the lucky country, but it's all propped up by government spending, really, and just moving numbers around. And I thought that as a bit of a bad story, because we haven't had a recession in so long. But when you look at recessions historically, they do create that reboot period, and it's kind of needed, that volatility, to reset things and keep the country moving forward in a different direction. Kind of like what we had with COVID, and it brought a lot of change. So I think yes, we may hear on the news that we may avoid a recession this year as a country, but as a household, we should treat it like a reboot anyway, and take matters into our hands in terms of how we manage our cash flow, and actually treat it like an opportunity, like you would a recession, without the panic, and actually look at our cash flow again and go, right, things have changed. What do we need to change? And actually talking to some of our clients recently, like a lot of them are actually moving cities and changing jobs. There's actually a lot of activity happening, which is matching the volatility in the world, but it's good activity. It's like forward thinking activity. It's I'm hearing like, how do I take advantage of this situation to move ahead? And so I'm loving what we're hearing through clients, because I think we've got them in a good place where they're able to make those good decisions and, captivate that opportunity from the volatility that's happening in our economy, and with prices, and with things changing in the world. So that's the place we want to be in. Yeah.
So Tim, if you're going to reboot anything in your budget, what are you thinking about rebooting?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think because it might not be a technical recession, and it might not be in the news headlines, but I think people, if this thing continues, like we don't know how long this is going to go for, but it's going to be a practical recession for people's wallets, and they're gonna feel like a recession. Like the government might be like, we're doing great, but I think everyday Aussie is going to be like, well, I can barely afford to get to work. But yeah, so I think things to look at, reducing that extra spending, bring things we've always talked about, I think, but like that takeaway, staying away from restaurants. No, I mean, they probably need the help too, so I feel bad. But yeah, those are the things you can cut. That dining out, shopping wisely. I love the click to collect, because you're not walking down aisles getting tempted. When it's on a digital page, I find I don't buy as many naughty things as I do when I'm just rolling down with kids and they're like, oh, wouldn't mind some chocolates. Yeah, just all those delaying the holidays, just seeing what happens. I suppose I feel like it's a bit of a wait and see moment. So if there's any big purchases, just like, okay, I'm going to push that down the road a little bit, just to see how this goes over the next 6 months. And how serious it is. But yeah, it's probably what's on my mind.
Yeah.
How about you guys?
Yeah. Well, I think now's the time to do it. Not 6 months' time when you're in trouble. It's reboot now and start to really change what we're doing. So yeah, I agree on the takeaway, dining outside. It's that can cost a lot of money. On the grocery side, I grew up with a single mum and did the shopping. So when I was a teenager, and I just really learnt that, if you got an allocation of money for shopping, for groceries, you can do so well because it removes all temptation, and you have to focus in on getting the basics of what you really need. And so, that'd be my thing is, have that definite grocery shopping budgeted amount and stick to it, because it'll make the world a difference.
I find walking with your calculator open and just adding in roughly what you're adding to the shopping basket. So you pick up something, Bickies, $4, you just add +4, and then you keep that tally going as you're walking around the shop. And it's actually a great conversation tool where you can just show your phone to your wife and go, hey, this is what we're up to. How's that looking, with what we've budgeted for? And then you get to the end of the shop and you go, let's go put that back. We don't actually need that this week. Or
you got to cut those $4 Bickies, Lachy.
I'm good $4 Bickies. I'm a sucker for those.
Yeah.
But groceries a lot has changed in groceries. Like where, it's now per unit, not per kilogram. Like they're packaging a lot more food now, which ticks me off. So, the broccoli might be $3 of broccoli, but one's smaller than the other. So we're kind of getting screwed here by these companies. So we have to be a bit more savvy. And of course we probably should get Chelsea back on the podcast at some point and her books that we've been mailing out to clients because she does a fantastic book around meal planning and $10 meals community in Australia. Yeah. But yeah, we've got to be savvy with the groceries.
Look, I buy my fruit and veg from a local fruit and veg shop here that buys all seconds. They have the perfect stuff as well, but they also have lots of seconds. So seconds in absolutely everything. And I buy all the seconds, and my fruit and veg shop each week is about $30.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I was in Woolies just the other day, and I was looking at their fruit and veg and went, holy mackerel, if I bought the same stuff here, I'd be talking $90 at least to get the same amount of stuff. The cost of their fruit and veg is just so high because they've shipped it all over Australia, whereas my local fruit and veg shop here, they're buying direct from Brisbane.
Yeah.
And they're buying the seconds, which has only been shipped to Brisbane, hasn't gone anywhere else. It hasn't been shipped to Melbourne or Sydney and then back up again. It's like, which is what Woolies and Coles and these guys are doing. They're just moving stuff all over Australia. So it's costing a lot.
I noticed that too if a shop in our area where they've got 2 ranks of eggs for $6. So you get like 24 eggs for $6, and then they've got cheap bananas all the time at the front of the shop in this little grocery shop near our gym. And I'm always wondering how they get it so cheap, but they're just literally shipping it from Rockley, like 2 meters down the road. So it's not going around Australia. It's going from the Lockyer Valley to Rockley to Yeronga.
I'm buying fresh eggs for $2 a dozen from the fruit and veg shop because they're buying them locally here on the Darling Downs from the chicken farmers. So we just got to be really savvy about where does our food come from, how's it being shipped to us, and other products. There's just so many products out there. But like when I go to Aldi and shop at Aldi, I go down 2 aisles and I get what I need from Aldi.
Just avoid that center aisle.
There's six aisles in Aldi and I only go down 2.
Yeah. I do like that about Aldi. You can go down all around the outside of the shop and you basically go through veggies, you go through dairy, you go through staples, then frozen, and then you're out. Yeah. It's a good layout. Let's keep this episode short today, and let's I guess talk about our cash flow system. And like we always talk a lot about percentages, Archie, and the percentage that we're spending in different areas of our cash flow. Do you think that's the way to approach this? To look at in our groceries, our fuel, our electricity, what percentage has that increased by, or how has that affected our budget? And then look for ways to cut that in other areas so that we can continue to keep our cash flow working with the assumption that our income may be in this season's not catching up with the expenditure.
Yeah, look, you posted in our chat yesterday the energy consumption in the world at the moment based on, how much people are earning. So, so if we're earning $100,000 a year, our energy consumption compared to someone that's earning $10,000 a year is massive. Okay.
Yeah.
and I've seen this happen since the 80s. I've just seen energy consumption just skyrocketing as we get more and more money. We're spending more and more on energy. We're spending more and more on fuel, transport. Car costs are. We used to drive simple cars. Now we're driving luxury cars. We're just spending everywhere.
Yeah.
As the income has gone up. So when we look at percentages, there's the cost of running a house, which includes energy. So we look at what's it costing to run your house, and that includes repairs and maintenance and rates and water and all of those sorts of things. So and we look at the percentages of whether that compared to your income is actually a good amount to be spending, so that you're creating savings. Because the whole thing about rebooting is we want to create savings, which are then getting invested.
Yes.
So we're not saying, let's just do this for the sake of, slimming down our budget. Let's stick to our goals and strategies of having cash flow surplus and putting that into savings and into investing there. So the major ones are the house cost, the car costs, transport is the other major one. The other major one is groceries. That's why I talk about groceries a lot, because I can see a lot of money being spent there. And then the other one would be insurances. We've seen a massive increase in insurance prices. And so and you can get insurance on absolutely everything today, even your phone. So I think if you add up, all the insurances in your world, it can probably scare the life out of you as to how much you could be spending on insurances. And we do need basic insurances. We do need to protect our income. That's a really important one to have in place. But the other insurances, you've really got to go through those and, work on what you're actually going to spend there. And again, higher the income, the more luxury the car, the higher the insurance costs. Everything goes with it. So,
I love my new car. It's like $80 a month to insure. It's so cheap.
Yeah. Yep.
Simple car, simple insurance.
Great. Well, I love this framing and the reboot, and we're pulling back, because in these seasons, tends to give us a lot of new opportunities. And by pulling back, we are getting ready to capitalize on the future growth.
Yep.
It's a good point to finish on, Tim. Yesterday I heard a fund manager talk about how periods of war and turbulence have actually done really well for stocks. You could even say the Second World War pulled America out of a depression. So even though we have lots of crazy things going on, which we see in the market, which can be scary, if we're regularly investing, if we're regularly paying down debt, if we're doing these basics, we can actually, it might look bad now, but we actually get a year or two into the future and you look back at that chart and drag it out, we can actually do really well. And so this is not the time to stop doing things, stop investing or stop saving or paying down debt. It's actually just keep going with the plan. And don't stop, because that volatility can actually really help in the long run.
Yeah, all of our clients that have stuck with it for 5 years, going through a difficult time like this, when you look at them 5 years down the track, they're so far ahead because they've stuck with it, they've rebooted, they've readjusted, and then 5 years down the track, they've had that propulsion and moving forward and seeing great what do we call it, increase, and change there.
And things change really quickly. We got to be ready to implement our plan, even though it might not look great now. For example, property sentiment. In the last week, we've had a leader in property, like the Tom Panos's, say Melbourne is dirt cheap. And then I saw 3 buyers advocate in a row in one morning turn around and post about how the sentiment in Sydney has dropped off a cliff. And now you've got Property Couch guys, they're also talking about with their research, Brisbane sentiment might drop in the second half of this year. Now, I don't know if any of those are going to come true, but the point is things are always changing. So we have to just keep getting ourselves ready and sticking to our plan, because there will be an opportunity where we can hit the ground running and captivate an opportunity that we have in front of us. But we don't know exactly when that's going to be. But again, we have to keep preparing for it so that we're ready in that opportunity moment where we can seize it.
Yeah. We that's the classic about recessions and things from the past, is that, amazing businesses and amazing companies have come out of recessions and bad times And also, people have done very well out of bad times. My own dad did very well out of bad times and having to push through. So it's not a case of saying that this is terrible. It's a case of us actually saying, okay, if I keep doing the right things here that are going to help me, then I'm going to benefit from this, and I can see, my world turn around and be a lot better in 5 years' time. And 5 years doesn't take long.
All right, I think we managed to leave on a positive note, which is, I can't believe we managed to do that, given everything going on right now. So, thanks for listening to Mind Over Money. We hope that this was encouraging to you. This little 20 minutes in your day before you go back and check out the news. So, of course, any of our clients that are listening, reach out, catch up for us with a quarterly session so we can look at your cash flow and work through these changes together. And if you're not a coaching member, you're not working with us yet, please reach out and book in a free discovery call. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to help you. Okay, guys, let's leave it there.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Lachlan. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. See you, boys.